All right. Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to say call Haloyam Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rakah Quitash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who have taught me this truth and who rule well in this truth. Shalom to the 144,000 and the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel that is scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Peace and mercy unto you. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you are the true Hebrew Israelites that the Bible speaks of. You are the true chosen people of the book of the Bible. All right, so what I want to get into today in this lesson is how the other nations, all right, are going into captivity. All right, they will and are going into captivity. All right, the only nation that is going to receive salvation is the nation of Israel. Okay, and that means to be saved from impending danger. All right, salvation is to be saved from impending danger. And what is that impending danger? All right, the nuclear missiles that are going to flood and drown this earth, especially here in America, especially here in Babylon. All right, America is going to be drowned and engulfed and swallowed in nuclear fire in this third world war. That's the will of the Heavenly Father, to wipe and obliterate America from off the face of this earth. All right, and that's what salvation is, to be saved, all right, by the nuclear destruction. All right, only one nation is going, and wait, how are we going to be saved from this nuclear destruction? All right, by the way of the chariots. All right, what this world, this current age, calls a UFO. All right, or a UAP. All right, unidentified aerial phenomenon. Right, we're going to get beamed up into those chariots to escape the nuclear fire. All right, and the only ones that are going to get beamed up into those chariots are Israelites. That's why they're known as the chariots of Israel. All right, so let's prove that real quick. All right, they only pick up Israelites. That's why they're known as the chariots of Israel. They're not known as the chariots of Elam. They're not known as the chariots of Edom. They're not known as the chariots of Cush, right? Or the chariots of Gomer, the chariots of Canaan. No, they're the chariots of Israel because they pick up Israelites. All right, so that's the only people that's going to receive salvation, get beamed up, all right, into those chariots. All right, and that's who's going to fall down from those chariots, all right, when the indignation is overpassed. All right, when the nuclear fire dies down. We're going to drop from those chariots, and all the other nations are going into captivity, slavery. They're going to be subject to the nation of Israel. They're going to rule this planet Earth, the nation of Israel. All right. So let's get that real quick. Let's get I think that's in 2 Kings, the second chapter. All right. When it talks about, Elijah being taken up. All right. How was Elijah taken to heaven? All right. It says Elijah taken to heaven. Now, how was he taken to heaven? All right, by the chariots, by which is what this world calls a UFO. They're known as chariots in the Bible. They're also known as whirlwinds and horses and horsemen, right? Pillars of fire, right? And let's prove that. All right. So it's around the chariot. Excuse me. It's around the 11th verse. All right. So it says right here. This is when Elijah got taken up, all right, into a chariot, and Elisha watched. All right, so I'll just get straight to the point. It says 2 Kings 2:10, it says, and he said, thou hast asked a hard thing. Nevertheless, if thou see me when I am taken from thee, it shall be so unto thee, but if not, it shall not be so. Yeah, because when you read the verses above, Elisha asked Elijah for a double portion of his spirit. Matter of fact, I'll just read it. All right. 2 Kings 2:9. It says, and it came to pass when they were gone over that Elijah said unto Elisha, ask what I shall do for thee before I be taken away from thee. And Elisha said, I pray thee, let a double portion of thy spirit be upon me. And he said, thou hast asked a hard thing. Nevertheless, if thou see me when I am taken from thee, it shall be so unto thee. But if not, it shall not be so. Verse 11, and it came to pass, as they still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire. Now, what is this chariot of fire? All right, this chariot is talking about what this world, this current age, calls a UFO. There appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, which are the chariots, and parted them both asunder. Yeah, they separated Elijah from Elisha. All right, and Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. All right, he was taken up by a chariot. All right, and Elisha saw it and cried, my father, the chariot of Israel. All right, they're known as chariot. They're known as the chariots of Israel, not the chariots of Elam. All right, not the chariots of Cush, not the chariots of Canaan, not the chariots of, they're known as the chariots of Israel because they pick up Israelites. They don't pick up nobody else. All right, so that's who's going to receive salvation when these nuclear missiles hit, and these other nations, they're going to be destroyed. All right, but some of the many of the other nations are going to be in these bunkers, right? Many of the people of the other nations are going to be in these bunkers, all right, especially these elite bankers, all right, because when we come down from those chariots, they're going to be our first set of subjects, our first set of slaves. They're going into chains and shackles, right? The Lord is going to preserve them, all right, in these bunkers, all right, to be our first set of slaves so they could clean up this earth after the nuclear destruction, all right? These other nations are going into captivity and slavery. All right, and that's the whole point of this video, and we're going to prove that throughout the scriptures. All right, 2 Kings 2:12, it says, and Elisha saw it and cried, my father, the chariot of Israel and the horsemen thereof. You see, and he saw him no more. Yeah, so Elisha saw Elijah no more. He was taken up by a chariot to be with the heavenly Father in the spiritual realm, in the spiritual world. All right, and he saw him no more, and he took hold of his clothes and rent them in two pieces. All right, so they're known as the chariots of Israel because they only pick up Israelites. All right, and that's who's going to be saved by those chariots from the nuclear destruction. That's who's going to receive salvation, the Israelites. All the other nations are not going to receive that salvation, get beamed up into the chariots to escape the nuclear destruction. All right, the other nations have to go into captivity. Right, matter of fact, when you read Isaiah, right, the Lord said he's going to place salvation in Zion. All right, which is Zion is another nation, another word for Israel. He's going to place salvation in Zion. Okay, and now the computer wants to act all slow. All right, but it's going to go. All right. All right, matter of fact, let's get it like this. All right. All right, so it says right here, Isaiah 46:13, I bring near my righteousness, it shall not be far off, and my salvation shall not tarry. I will place salvation in Zion for Israel, my glory. That's where the Lord said he was going to place salvation. He didn't say he was going to place salvation in anywhere else, right? I bring near my righteousness, it shall not be far off, and my salvation shall not tarry, and I will place salvation in Zion for Israel, my glory. And who is Zion and who is Israel? The Negro, Latino, Native American man. All right, here in America. All right, and you also have the Israelites scattered throughout the four corners of the earth under the other nations, looking like the other nations. All right, you're going to see Israelites looking Chinese and Japanese and German and looking Irish or whatever they were at in parts of the world, getting beamed up. All right, because they're actually Israelites. They just look like the other nations. All right, because throughout the generations they end up looking like the other nations because they have laid down with the other nations where they were scattered to at, man. You see? I bring near my righteousness, it shall not be far off, and my salvation shall not tarry, and I will place salvation in Zion. All right, for Israel, my glory. All right, let's get into this word salvation. All right, and you know what's funny, because you'll read this, right, and it's in the Old Testament. These Christians will be like, "Oh, that's the Old Testament," like as if the Lord changed, like the Lord had a change of heart. You know, the Lord is not some fickle being. All right. Matter of fact, let's get that. Malachi 3:6. Right. Let's prove that. The Lord is immutable, man. The word immutable means impossible to change. Right. All right. When you read the scriptures, it says the immutability of the Lord's counsel. All right. This never changed. Right. So you telling me what I'm reading here is now a lie because you think the Lord changed? No, the Lord said he's going to place his salvation in Zion for Israel. All right. Not anywhere else. All right. So let's read Malachi 3:6. All right. For I am the Lord Yahweh, I change not. All right. The Lord don't change. Not one bit. The Lord is not some fickle being where he changes, man. Salvation was only for Israel. All right. Salvation was always only for Israel, and it's still that way. That never changed. All right. Because the first in the old covenant is only for the nation of Israel. All right. Malachi 3:6. For I am the Lord Yahweh, I change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. Yeah, and that's why Israel's still here today. The Israelites are still here today because the Lord made a promise, all right, starting with Abraham, all right, that him and his seed shall inherit a land flowing with milk and honey. And we have not received that land yet flowing with milk and honey. All right, we did in the ancient world during the time of King David and King Solomon, but it wasn't forever. That promise was the promise of the kingdom of heaven forever. We're going to receive that land flowing with milk and honey forever. That hasn't happened yet. That's going to happen when Yahweh Shai returns. All right, Malachi 3:6. For I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. And that's why we're still here today, because the Lord made a promise to Abraham that him and his seed shall receive the kingdom of heaven, a land flowing with milk and honey. That's why we're still here today. All right, because the Lord can't go back on his word. The Lord is bound by his own word. All right, the scriptures say that the Lord is not a man that he shall lie. Right. All right, let's get that. The Lord that he shall lie. All right, KJV. All right, let's get that real quick. All right, this is the book of Numbers 23:9. All right, let's get it real quick. Now it wants to act slow. You see what happens when you're doing the work of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai? But anyway, let's see real quick if it goes. All right, but anyway, we could actually just read it right here. All right, Numbers 23:19. All right, now it wants to go. All right, it says right here, Numbers 23:19. All right, the Most High Yahweh. Right, it says God right here, but you could use the word the Most High. Right, it says God is not a man that he shall lie. Right, the Lord is not a man that he shall lie. The Lord don't lie, man. All right, the scriptures say that all his word is faithful and true. Matter of fact, let's prove that as well. All right, the Lord said all my words are faithful and true. All right, this is 2nd Ezra. All right, the 15th chapter. Let's get it. 2nd Ezra 15. I'll start at verse 1. All right. 2nd Ezra 15:1. Behold, speak thou into the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, save the Lord Yahweh, and cause them to be written in paper. And that's how we got the Bible today. And cause them to be written in paper, for they are what? For they are faithful and true. All right. All the Lord's word is faithful and true. Right? So again, when you read, all right, go back. The Lord is not a man that he shall lie. God is not a man that he shall lie. Right? So when we read, all right, Isaiah 46:13, for my salvation shall not tarry, and I will place salvation in Zion for Israel, my glory. That's who salvation is for. And it's for nobody else. All right, the Lord don't change. The Lord never changed. Because these wacky tacky Christians that have no understanding of the Bible, they like to say, "Oh, that's the Old Testament," or now it's different. The Lord never changed, all right? Malachi 3 and 6, for I am the Lord, I change not. So when the Lord says something, it's final. It's final, right? So you mean to tell me what I'm reading here is now a lie because you think the Lord changed? You can't change what is written, all right? Matter of fact, let's get that, all right? Ability, all right? I spelled it wrong. Damn, all right? All right? Immutability. All right, let's get it like that. All right. All right. The scriptures say that the immutability of the Lord's counsel. All right. The word immutable means impossible to change or unchangeable. Right. So let's get it real quick. All right. As you see, it's moving slow. All right. Internet never used to be like this, but anyway. All right. Hebrews 6 and 17, it says, wherein God, willing more abundantly to show unto the heirs of promise the immutable. Who are the heirs of the promise? All right. Who was given the promise of the kingdom of heaven? The promise went from Abraham and to Isaac and to Jacob. The promise stopped at Jacob. So whoever comes out of Jacob receives the promise, the kingdom of heaven. All right. Which what nation came out of Jacob? The Israelites. All right. So it says, where God willing more abundantly to show unto the heirs of promise the immutability of his counsel confirmed by an oath. All right. Let's get this word immutability. All right. Which, you know, we get it for edification's sake, man. All right. So the word immutability in the Greek, all right, as you see right here, amethathetos, all right, which means what? Not transposed, not to be transferred. It's fixed, all right, unalterable, all right. So the Lord's counsel is unalterable. It's fixed. It cannot be changed. When the Lord says something, it's final. So what we're reading here, it can't change, man. All right, so you're saying to me the Lord is lying now? Well, what I'm reading in the Old Testament is now a lie because you think the Lord changed. Now all of a sudden you think, you know, the salvation is for everybody now. No. Right? So let's go back to let's go back to Isaiah, right? 46. Let's get that one more time. All right, because he said he's going to place salvation in Zion for Israel, right? His glory. Right? So we're going to get that word salvation. All right? If it will go. Come on, man. All right? Isaiah 46 and 13. Man, it's just acting slow, man. All right? So it says, Isaiah 46 and 13, I bring near my righteousness, it shall not be far off, and my salvation shall not tarry, and I will place salvation in Zion for Israel, my glory. Now let's get this word salvation in the Hebrew, right? He said, let me see if it's that same word. So you got salvation, and then you got my salvation, right? Yeah, it's the same word. So let's get that word salvation. All right, salvation, deliverance, usually by God through human agency. Salvation, spiritual in a sense. The salvation is going to be physical, right? It's spiritual and physical, actually, right? Because how the Lord is bringing us back, all right, through His Word. That's the spirit. That's the spiritual power, man. All right, so it says, let's get it real quick. Deliverance, help, safety, salvation, victory. Yep. All right. So it says deliverance, usually by God through human agency, especially from oppression. Yeah. Who's the ones that are going to be saved from oppression? The Israelites, the Negro, Latino, Native American man. All right. Especially from oppression. Did not the Lord say he gonna save us from all that hate thee? Ooh, let's get that. All right, and oppress thee. All right. And who are the ones that hate us? All right, all the other nations, starting with Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. All right. So let's get that real quick. Ooh, Luke 1 and 7. Yeah, let's get that, man. All right, Luke 1 and 71, right? Let's start at 70. All right. Luke 1 and 70, it says, as he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, and which have been since the world began. Yeah, and that's how the Lord speaks. The Lord's not going to come down here himself and speak. The Lord rose up men and prophets, all right, to speak, man. That's how the Lord speaks. So when the prophets are out on the highways and hedges, that's the Heavenly Father calling the elect, all right, as he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began, that we should be saved. Who's the we? The Israelites. That we should be saved from our enemies, who are our enemies, every other nation, starting with Esau, Edom, all right, and from the hand of all that hate us. You see, to perform the mercy promised to our fathers. Who was the promise given to? The nation of Israel, starting with Abraham, man, the promise of our fathers, and to remember his holy covenant. Come on, man. You see, that we shall be saved from all of our enemies. Are we not oppressed by our enemies? Is not the Negro, Latino, Native American man oppressed till this day from by our enemies? All right, starting with Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. All right, and all these other nations oppress us too. All right, come on, man, and that goes back, all right, to what I was saying, because all these other nations, they have to be subjects to us now, right? They oppressed us and had us in captivity, so now there is their time to be oppressed and go into captivity. Right? The Lord said whoever put us into slavery and oppressed us, they have to go into slavery and be oppressed. Right? These other nations are not going to receive salvation. They're going into captivity. That's the whole point of this video. Right? So when you read Isaiah the 14th chapter, it proves that. So let's read it. Isaiah 14 and 1, it says, for the Lord will have mercy on Jacob. That's who the Lord is going to have mercy on, Jacob. Jacob represents the nation of Israel, because the nation of Israel comes out of the loins of Jacob. Jacob's name got changed to Israel when he wrestled an angel until daybreak, right? For the Lord Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel. That's who the Lord chose, Israel. All right, that's who the Lord, the nation of Israel, the Israelites, is who the Lord chose to give salvation to. Not, he didn't choose to give salvation to any other nation. That's what it means to be a chosen people. All right, what's the whole point of having a chosen people? What does it mean to be chosen? What's the whole point? What does it mean that the Israelites are the chosen people? That's the people that the Lord chose to give the kingdom of heaven and salvation to. The other nations are not going to receive salvation. All right. Isaiah 14 and 1, and the Lord Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. That hasn't happened yet. We're not in the homeland yet. We're not in the Holy Land yet. That's not going to happen until Yahweh Shai returns. All right, we get beamed up into those chariots to escape the nuclear destruction, and when we come down, we're going to be in the Holy Land. It hasn't happened yet until Yahweh Shai comes. Right? You read about that in Isaiah the 11th chapter. Right? For the Lord Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land, and the strangers shall be joined with them. The strangers are the Israelites that are scattered. All right? It's not talking about strangers as in the other nations, right? Because in the Bible, the other nations are also known as strangers, right? But the Israelites are also known as strangers as well too. Right? Because they had been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, right? So they became strange. All right? Because they started speaking and taking on the ways and the customs of the Gentiles, of the strangers. So they became strangers just like the strangers of the Gentiles. All right? It says, and the stranger shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob, and the people, all right, shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them. All right, we're going to possess the other nations. All right, the other nations are going into captivity. The other nations are not going to receive salvation. Right, it says, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord Yahweh for servants and handmaids. Yeah, so they're going to be our servants and our handmaids. They're going to be our subjects and slaves. Just like we're their subjects and slaves now, they're going to be our subjects and slaves in the kingdom of heaven. All right, it's going to be a role reversal. All right, that's what Luke the 16th chapter is about, when Yahweh Shai spoke that parable about the rich man and Lazarus. Right? It says, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord Yahweh for servants and handmaids. They're going to be our servants and handmaids, right? And they shall take them captives, who captives they were. Yeah, so we were their captives, right? But now they're going to be our captives. It's going to be complete role reversal, right? They had us in captivity. Now it's their time to be our captives, all right? See, they're laughing now, right? But they're going to cry later. We're crying now, but we're going to laugh later, all right? We had to go through this hell to receive the kingdom, all right? It says, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. Yeah, the Negro, Latino, Native American men are going to rule over their oppressors. The people that once oppressed them in the kingdom of heaven, we're going to rule over our oppressors. The people that once oppressed us. Starting with Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, all right, and all these other nations. Did we just not read when Isaiah, the 46th chapter, the 13th verse, when we went into the word salvation, all right, to be saved from oppression, right? We're gonna rule over our oppressors, and they shall rule over their oppressors, all right. And it shall come to pass in the day that Yahweh shall give thee rest from thy sorrow. Yeah, we're gonna receive rest from the hell that we're living in Esau, Edom's world, in his age, right? And it shall come to pass in the day that Yahweh shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear, because all our people do is sorrow and fear, right? Our people are nothing but depressed and sorrowing and saddened from this hell and captivity that we live in. We got to work and slave until we die. This ain't rest. This ain't living, but we're going to receive that rest, and we're going to receive life in the kingdom of heaven, when the Lord makes us kings and gods and rulers, immortal on this planet Earth. And that's going to be forever. That's what the kingdom of heaven is. Rulership of this planet Earth forever and ever and ever. All right? And that's only given to the nation of Israel. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord Yahweh shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve. Did we not serve a hard bondage? Did not the Negro, Latino, Native American man serve a hard bondage here in America? Right? Did we not go through a great and utmost hell here in America? Right? But America is our last captivity. This is the last captivity that we have to go through before we receive salvation. So we're almost out of here, man. Yahweh Shai getting ready to crack that sky, but first must come the nuclear destruction and the mark of the beast, which is right around the corner. All right, we don't got 5-6 years here, bro. We probably don't even got 2-3 years here. Right? The elites are moving fast as hell with this digital ID, with the mark of the beast, man. Right? And the reason why I'm doing this video, because I was watching Apostle Gabar's video, right? Talking to, because he was talking about how, because now, you got the Genesis Israelites, man. All right, Hassad and Deacon Hakak, man. Now talking about The other nations can be saved now. Y'all bugged out. If you're talking about the other nations can be saved, y'all bugged out. The Lord is not dealing with you. The Lord took his spirit away from you, man. Rulership is going to one nation only. All right? It's not going to no other nation. We're going to rule the other nations with the rod of iron. All right? Let's prove that. All right? Matter of fact, let's get Psalms 2, because that's one I like to go to. That's a cold cut. You know, Psalms 2, and that links up with Revelation, the second chapter, around the 24th, 25th verse, 26th verse. All right? Psalms 2 and 8. All right? And then you got Psalms 149, right? Which lets us know that the other nations are going to be bound in chains, man, in the kingdom of heaven. All right? So this is Psalms 2 and 8. All right? I'll start at verse 7, all right? Psalms 2 and 7, it says, I will declare the decree that the Lord Yahweh has said unto me, thou art my son, this day I have begotten thee, talking about Yahweh Shai, right? Verse 8, ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thy inheritance. Yeah, we're going to inherit the heathen nations, all right? The other nations. They're going to be our subjects and our slaves, right? Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thy inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Yeah, because we're going to receive this planet Earth. We're going to inherit this earth. All right? The meek shall inherit the earth. Who's the meek? The nation of Israel, the Negro, Latino, Native American man. They're the weak ones and the lowly ones on this earth right now. And they're going to receive this earth. They're going to be risen up to be kings and gods and rulers of this planet Earth, the nation of Israel, the Negro, Latino, Native American man. That's the meek on this earth right now. They don't own nothing or possess nothing or rule anything on this earth, rule any part of this earth. The Negro, Latino, Native American man, the Israelites, right? So we're going to receive the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession, all right? Starting with Yahweh Shai, because Yahweh Shai is coming back, all right, to take what is his, which is this planet earth, all right, and to rule it, all right? And he's gonna share his throne, his rulership, with the 144,000, the elect, all right, with the rest of the nation of Israel. So we're going to own and rule this earth with Yahweh Shai. All right. But starting with Yahweh Shai, because first and foremost is his rulership, his kingdom, his earth. All right. That was created by him and for him. All right. Psalms 2 and 8, ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for our inheritance. So we're going to be given the heathen. All right. They're going to be our subjects, our slaves. Right. And this links up with Revelation. All right, 2. All right, let's get that real quick. All right, Revelation 2. All right, let's precept that. All right, just give it a second, because, damn, this, you know. Just bear with me for a sec. All right. Oh, now, see, now it's acting like it don't even want to load. Come on, man. Let's get it. Let's get it. All right. If it doesn't go, I'll just finish the lesson off screen. All right. You'll just hear me talk. All right. But I'll still get the scriptures and read them. You'll just hear it and won't see it on screen. All right. So matter of fact, what I'm gonna do, I got my scriptures right here. As you could probably hear, the page is turning. All right. I'm gonna read Revelation 2, and I'll start at verse 25, but the point is in 27. So this is Revelation 2, and 25. All right, it says, but that which ye have already hold fast till I come. Yeah, you gotta hold fast of this truth. until Yahweh Shai comes. All right, those that endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. Verse 26. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. Yeah. So we're going to have power over the nations. We're going to rule over the nations. They're going to be our subjects, our slaves. They're not going to, the other nations are not going to rule with us. That doesn't make sense. Only one nation is going to receive a rulership when Yahweh Shai comes back. That's what the kingdom of heaven is it's rulership of this earth. The other nations are not going to partake in our rulership. The other nations are not going to have part of Yahweh Shai's throne. That sounds ridiculous. The other nations are going to Yahweh Shai is not going to share his throne with the other nations. What? All right. And now it actually loaded up. So I'll read it for you on screen. All right. And these are the words of Yahweh Shai. Right? These are the words of Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai is saying this. As you see, I'm clicking here, but it's not turning red. All right, these words will be in red right here. All right, and now my battery is dying, so I'm gonna try to hurry up and get a few scriptures before I end this video. All right, but anyway, verse 25 again. It's 26. It says, "And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations." Verse 27, "And he shall rule them with a rod of iron." Yeah, we're gonna rule these nations with a rod of iron. All right, the other nations are not going to be ruling, man. All right, it says, "And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers." Yeah, so they broke us into shivers, so we're going to break them into shivers. See, the other nations are going into captivity, slavery, oppression, just like they did to us. Right? It says, "And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received them my Father." Yeah, because Yahweh Shai is gonna, he's gonna be ruling with the rod of iron too, and we're gonna rule with him with the rod of iron. And the other nations are gonna be what? It says, "As the vessels of a potter shall they be broken into shivers." Yeah, they're gonna be broken like clay, as it's shattered on the ground. A vessel that is made out of clay, a pot, it just shatters on the ground when you drop it. That's how the other nations are going to be shattered. Right? So, let me see if it'll grab it. All right. Psalms 149, if it'll even load. If not, I'll just read it off screen. All right. And I'll just end the video like that because, as you see, the battery is dying. All right, so this is Psalms. Give me a second. All right, this is Psalms 149 in verse 5. All right, and also when you get Jeremiah 30 and 16, it says, "All the nations, every single one of them." Matter of fact, let me grab that first, because that's just the cold cut, bro. All right, this is Jeremiah 30 and 16. All right, it reads, "Therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured." Yeah, so the Lord is talking to the nation of Israel. All the other nations that devoured us, spoiled us, enslaved us, impressed us, starting with Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. All right, all they that devoured us are going to be devoured. It's going to be a complete role reversal. The first shall be last, and the last shall be first. Who's first right now? Esau, Edom. All right, starting with the elite bankers, right, and all these other nations that are above us, right? Therefore, all that. Excuse me, let me read that again. All right, Jeremiah 30 and 16. It says, "Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured." All right, so those that enslaved us, impressed us, devoured us, and spoiled us, now is their time to be enslaved, oppressed, spoiled, and devoured. Right? "Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thy adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity." Woo! All right, and they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all they that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. All right, come on, man. Verse 17, for I will restore health unto thee. Yeah, because the Lord took our power away, our health away. Look at us as a people, the Negro, Latino, Native American man. That's how, bro, that goes to show you the power of the Lord, because we once ruled this earth with great power during the time of King David, King Solomon, right? And now look at the people, all right? We don't even know what the hell we ate for breakfast, all right? It says, for I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, save the Lord Yahweh, all right? Because they called thee an outcast, yeah, these other nations. They look at us like we're nothing, like we're just some niggas, man, some Negroes, some spicks, some dirty ass niggas, man. Oh man, it's gonna be a beautiful thing to watch the faces on these other nations when they see us getting beamed up into the chariots, man. All right. Woo! For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee. When they realize that we're the chosen, the true Israelites that the Bible speaks of, man, it's this the greatest story that has ever been written or wrote, man, by Yahweh. All right. For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, save the Lord Yahweh, because they have called thee an outcast, saying, this is Zion, whom no man seeketh after. Yeah, because that's how all the other nations look at us. These people here, these shitty ass fucking Negroes here, these spits and wetbacks, and you know, you know. But the Lord said, all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thy enemies, and all thy adversaries, every one of them shall go into. The Lord said, every one of them. All these other nations are our enemies, and the Lord said, every one of them. That's Jeremiah 30 and 16. Right now, let's get Psalms. Right, Psalms 149. Which I think that's the last chapter actually in Psalms. Yeah, no, Psalms 150 is actually the last chapter. All right, but Psalms 149 and 5, it says, let the saints be joyful in glory. All right, the saints are the Israelites. Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praises of the Most High Yahweh be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand. Yeah, in the kingdom of heaven, we're going to have a two-edged sword. Why? Let's keep reading. It says, to execute vengeance upon the heathen. The heathen are the other nations. So we're going to execute vengeance. We're going to meditate murder on them, man. Meditate vengeance on them, all right? To execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishment upon the people. Woo! All right? To bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron. Woo! All right? So the other nations are going into chains and fetters of iron. Just like how they put yokes of iron upon our necks. They're going to have yokes of iron upon their necks, all right? It says, to execute upon them the judgment written. Yep. The judgment that is written for the other nations is captivity and enslavement, right? It says, this honor have all his saints, praise ye the Lord Yahweh. It's going to be an honor, man. This is what we're waiting for. Revelation 3 and 10, all right? Those who lead into captivity shall go into captivity, and those who kill with the sword must be killed with the sword. All right, so I'll leave it at that, Lord willing. Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. This lesson is and was edifying. All right, so on to the next one. Call Haloyam Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rakah Quitash. All right, Tawab Aman Shalawam.